Hey everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today to test out a viral product that I've never tried before. I've tried the formula but not the shade, so I'm familiar with the formula. But I like doing this. I think it's quite fun. It's fun sort of seeing what products are popping back up. They might be really old products, but they're popping back up and they're becoming viral again and they sell out and there's a big thing about them. And the one I want to talk about today is the Urban Decay Moondust Eyeshadow in the shade Space Cowboy. Now this shadow and this shade has been around since 2013. Now I've had a couple of these eyeshadows. I had a palette of them. I had a single that was like a green. I never tried this particular shade. They did bring out sort of little palettes recently, sort of over the holiday season 2023, where Space Cowboy is in one of them. They were very popular and this shade has just like boomed, particularly on TikTok. So again, it's not a new product. It's been around for 11 years. But I particularly noticed that when a social media platform becomes quite popular, that's when things sort of become known again. So remember these eyeshadows, not particularly this shade, but these eyeshadows being really popular on YouTube and in the blogging sphere. And then they sort of came back up when Instagram became a thing. And then again, this is the particular shade that's taken off on TikTok. So I'm going to use this today. So this eyeshadow is described as a light champagne gold with silver sparkle. So it tends to have this sort of warmer base, almost like an orangey nude base to it. So it's quite warm. And then the shimmer is this very cool toned, almost iridescent, like clear sparkle. So in some lights, it doesn't actually look like shimmer at all, but when it catches a light, it's got this almost like twinkly reflect to it. So it's very pretty. When this originally released, it did have different packaging. So they re-released these a couple of years ago, which is when I think they became quite popular again. So it almost looked like a new product. I don't know if these were reformulated, but one thing I found interesting about the box, it actually tells you that it contains a dash of caffeine to give your eye look that extra little jolt of energy. I don't know if the original formula had caffeine in it, but apparently these do. So these may have been reformulated, but they're definitely been repackaged. I've heard some people say that this packaging is quite boring. They prefer the original. I don't mind this. I think it looks like it feels quite good quality plastic. So it feels quite sturdy and it almost gives me the vibe of like a microscope sort of slide, which I think is interesting. But what I'm going to do today, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to apply it in a few different ways. We can see how you can apply it quite sheerly, how it builds up over glitter glue. And then I'm going to swatch it compared to some other sort of twinkly eyeshadows or highlighter products that you can use on your eyes that have that sort of translucent base but sort of nude sparkle effect. Now, I have seen a lot of people dupe this on TikTok, so if you want to find more affordable dupes, you can definitely search for that. I don't have any of those, but I just thought I'll compare it to my collection anyway. So you can see by the swatches that if you build it up quite a bit, it does look a lot more sort of wet look, which is why this is so stunning. And then if you do sheer it out, it looks quite twinkly. So I think it gives this really beautiful like light to the eyes without it looking too much and too heavy. So on my eyes today, I've got nothing, just a little bit of foundation, maybe a little bit of powder from setting my base. I'm just going to apply this just with a brush, just really simply. I want to see how this applies on its own. You can see it does have a little bit of base color there, so that's that warm color. I love a really simple sort of low effort one and done eyeshadow. So I think that's one of the reasons why this has become so popular. You don't actually need eyeshadow skills to make this one work. You don't need special bases. You can just get a bit of a beautiful base color, a bit of a twinkle, and it actually looks a lot more elevated and a lot more complicated than it actually is. Like anyone could do that. I'm now going to pick it up and try to intensify it with my finger. I've just picked up a little bit. So this is one way that's very easy just to intensify the twinkle, is just applying it, dabbing it on with your finger, just a little bit at a time so it doesn't have too much fallout. There's a little bit of twinkle on my cheeks. So these sort of dispersed glitter shades do tend to, if you blend them out too much, they can sort of have a bit of fallout on your face, but I think it's still really gorgeous. And that's, again, no eyeshadow base. Obviously with longevity, probably want an eyeshadow base, but I think this is really gorgeous just on its own. And you can see why it's so popular. It gives this beautiful wet look. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this as a highlighter because of that base. So you can see it's got that orangey sort of nude base. That would end up being a strip on your cheek. So I'd probably exclusively use this as an eyeshadow, but it's very beautiful. So I had a bit of mascara on before this, but you can see how that in itself could just be an everyday look. I would wear this to work, to shops, to visiting friends, to doing anything. I think it's a gorgeous one and done eyeshadow. I'm going to use some glitter glue. This is just the NYX glitter primer. And I'm just going to take a tiny bit of that and dab it on my lid. Now, these glitter primers are very sticky. They're eyeshadow primers that stay quite tacky. So they really grip shimmer and they really grip glitter super well. This is another thing to do if you don't want much fallout down your face, but I just want to see how intense we can get it. All right, that's very tacky now to the point where I can feel my eyelids sticking to each other. But I've just got a little bit more on my brush. We can see how different this applies, if it applies differently. Okay, it doesn't actually grip that much more, but I would say that this would last a lot longer this way. Maybe you can see a lot more orange tone, so you can see that the base color is a little bit more intense. That would also mean the shimmer is a lot more intense. It's just maybe in the lighting at the moment I can't really see it, but if I get my phone torch out, hopefully you can see that there is a lot of sparkle going on. It's just very subtle, which I like. I think it's gorgeous. So this is my Hindash, what was it called? The eyeliner. It's a beautiful eyeliner, liquid eyeliner. I'm just going to do a small, very black flick. So I applied some liner, some half lashes, and a bit more mascara, and some mascara on the bottom lashes. And I think this is stunning. This looks expensive. It looks very high end. It looks very complicated, like you've blended beautifully and you've got a beautiful blend with a matte and a crease and a this and a sparkle. And in reality, it's one eyeshadow. I would put a red lip on this and I could like go to a wedding, I could conquer the world, I could give a TED talk, I could do whatever and feel absolutely fantastic in it. So the fact that one eyeshadow does this, I totally understand why it goes viral multiple times. I think this is stunning. I think it's easy. I think it's for so many people because it is just a one and done, super easy. The only really technique that you'd need to know to apply this is how to minimize some glitter fallout, which would be more patting rather than blending, and then what sort of primer to use to get the effect you want. So do you want it to be a little bit more intense? Do you want it to be a little bit more twinkly? Do you want it to last longer? Like that's pretty much it. Everything else is just one and done. I'm going to go off now and compare it to some other sort of twinkly eyeshadows, but I'm just going to tell you, I love this. I think it's stunning. I think it's worth the hype. I'm glad I've got it. This is going to go in my everyday handbag because there's going to be days where I just want to look sparkly and gorgeous without any effort, and this is it. You could even apply this with your finger. That's how easy this is. So I get it. I get the hype. It's worth the hype. It's gorgeous. Can you get dupes cheaper? Probably, but I think this is stunning. Stunning. All right, we're going to start with the Urban Decay Space Cowboy because we want a nice reference to what we're trying to compare. You can see this definitely has that warm, almost orange caramel base, and it's got that beautiful twinkle to it, which is stunning. The Fenty Beauty highlighter, this is the Diamond Bomb highlighter in How Many Carats. It has a similar twinkle to it, but it doesn't have that base color. So if that base color is something that's putting you off because you don't suit warm tones, you might want to try this. This is one you can put on your face as well because it doesn't have that orange base, but it does have that same cool tone sparkle to it. So this is pretty much the sparkle without the base color. I quite like the base color in this one because I feel like it makes it almost like two eyeshadows in one. It takes out having to like blend something into the crease, but if you just want a topper, this highlighter is probably for you. If you want something a little bit more chunky and sparkly, so this is maybe too finely milled for you, you want something a little bit more noticeable, this Kaleidos Quad, it's in Venus Trap. It has a cooler toned one. So this silver shade here has a cool base, like almost like a taupe base, and it is stunning. It's a lot more chunky, but it gives you that twinkle, and it's just like pin-up twinkle gorgeousness. I will show close-up soon. So this is a lot chunkier, and you can see it's almost got a grey base. This is my like New Year's Eve type sparkle because it is so gorgeous. Something cheaper, you can find some sort of sparkly Colourpop products. This is actually a Super Shock Cheek. This is the shade Seismic, which I believe was in a limited edition collection, but you can get so many similar ones to this. And again, this is a product that you use on your face, but you can of course use it on your eyes. It's a little bit more champagne colored, but it does have that sort of fine glitter sort of element going on. So if you apply it fairly sheerly, there is a bit of a base color to it. So it's got a bit of a base sheen rather than it just being sort of flat with just a sparkle. But if you do blend it out, you get a rough sort of sparkly effect, which is not as nice, but you know, it's still pretty. If you like that sort of color and you want a dispersed sparkle with a bit of color, Hourglass do have these sort of pot, they're called Scattered Light Glitter eyeshadows, and this is in the shade Ray, so it's not the same color, but you can definitely get some warmer colors in this. This is more of a bronze, but you can see it is like almost like a pressed glitter pigment type thing. It does have a bit of a base color, but it's got some nice sparkle in it as well. It's not that sort of white iridescent sparkle, which is what makes these quite special. I'll turn the brightness down so you can see a little bit more. But it gives you that same sort of effect. So you can see it's got that sort of bronzy color to it, and it's got a bit of silver glitter in it as well as some bronze glitter. So not quite the same, but if you apply this quite sheerly, you can get a similar effect. You can also apply it a lot heavier and get a bolder effect. So there's a bit of diversity in that one, I suppose. Okay, so these are the shades a little bit closer up, a little bit darker lighting so you can see them a bit better. So yeah, definitely orange with that twinkly iridescent. That's just the twinkly iridescent by itself with Fenty. Then you see the bigger particles, much chunkier glitter with the Kaleidos one, and it's got that cool sort of mauvey grey base. That's Colourpop. It's not as twinkly as you can see, but it gives a sort of twinkly effect. And then that's Hourglass, which has that sort of bronzy base and a mix of different sparkles in it. So it's not quite as wet look and refined as this, but you can get a sort of similar all-in-one sort of base and glitter effect from that one. This is the type of look I love to create on a daily basis. So this is a valuable addition to my collection. I'm very happy I bought it. So thank you so much for watching my review, and a big thank you to my members for supporting my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.